Hello, and thank you for joining us. This recording provides introductory level information regarding participating independently in Girl Scouts as a Juliette. It will benefit those new to being a Juliette or those considering the pathway who'd like to learn more. This presentation is tailored to an adult audience, but we invite you to share it with your Girl Scout if desired. Within this video's description and comments in YouTube, you'll find a resource compilation document that can be used to access all digital resources referenced in this recording. Today, we're going to cover what it is to be a Juliette, the top things that adults who support a Juliette will do, things that often confuse people about the Juliette experience, and what happens next. Now, the word Juliette is actually an umbrella term that covers any youth who is a member but participates outside of the volunteer-led format. So that includes Girl Scouts who engage in our staff-led troops. For example, we have troops that function like after-school activities or summer programs and in housing communities for shorter sessions than an average troop. There is also our Girl Scouts Beyond Bars program, which has been supporting youth who are impacted by the justice system for over 20 years, including a troop within the Coffee Creek Correctional Facility, as well as meeting outside of the facility. And that's open to girls who participate individually or in another troop. It also includes youth who join for small sessions or event-specific sessions like special events, or they join just to attend camp. Most commonly and publicly, the term Juliette is used for youth who participate independently year-round outside of a group format. When you hear this term going forward, that's what we're referring to. Occasionally, you'll also hear the acronym IRG for Individually Registered Girl, which is a formal term used across all Girl Scout councils. Folks often wonder what the difference is between being a Juliette and being in a troop. The differences are pretty small. The Juliette is supported by their own dedicated adult, which we call a Juliette mentor or advisor, as opposed to a group of Girl Scouts being supported by 2 or more leaders. The way money is handled in general and during product programs is different, which we get into a little bit more later. Juliettes may explore their world and travel in the name of Girl Scouts, but they must do so in an established group setting. One of the main foundations of Girl Scouting is gaining leadership experience, which by definition requires that you engage with others. So troops have those opportunities built in, so a Juliette's going to need to take extra measures to gain that group and community learning. Aside from that, the Juliette experience is the same. Youth engage in their local service unit communities, complete badges and journeys, go to day and overnight camp, and above all, they are a bona fide Girl Scout. If you're here, you probably already know why someone considers Juliette participation. But some of the reasons can include flexibility of making your own schedule when Girl Scouts have busy extracurriculars, or finding a troop that meets at a time convenient for your family is challenging. Sometimes just getting to a troop can be hard. With our council being spread across lots of rural areas, sometimes the closest troop is in fact not very close. There may not be a troop available regardless of your geography, or starting one isn't viable for you. It's very common for youth who've been part of a troop that dissolves to prefer Juliettes over joining a new group dynamic. Sometimes a troop setting is challenging for all sorts of valid reasons, including emotional or physical considerations. But there is no need to qualify why being a Juliette is best for your Girl Scout. We're going to cover the top tasks a Juliette mentor will do as they support their Girl Scout. They fall within 4 basic categories: staying connected with their local Girl Scout community, which is called a service unit, seeking out opportunities for your Girl Scout, planning a girl-led year, and following important safety guidance. You'll also get bonus points for becoming an adult member, and we'll dig into all of that today. In order to get connected with your Girl Scout community, it helps to understand who that is. The structure of Girl Scouts today is a lot like concentric rings. The heart of Girl Scouts is, of course, our youth members. But let's scooch out to the biggest ring on the outside, and that's Girl Scouts of the USA, our national organization, the one that Juliette Gordon Low founded in 1912. And it leads the way for our movement as a whole today. That national organization is divided into smaller areas called Girl Scout councils. Our council, Girl Scouts of Oregon and Southwest Washington, or GSOSW, has around 76 staff members. The council is divided into 38 service units, which are supported by a combination of council staff and local volunteers. To give you a little more information about our council, Girl Scouts of Oregon and Southwest Washington serves all of Oregon, plus 3 counties in Washington running along the Columbia Gorge. We have over 8,000 girl members, which includes about 200 Juliettes at any given time, over 4,000 adult members, 4 service centers, which are our offices in Eugene, Bend, Medford, and Portland. We have 3 overnight camp properties, 6 program centers around our council. All of these are available to rent by our Juliette and other members. So we mentioned service units, which you're going to hear often throughout your Girl Scout experience. Our council is broken down into geographic areas, largely measured along school district lines. The service unit is the backbone of our council and something you want to become directly connected with as soon as possible. We often find that when Juliette families don't understand the value of engaging in their local service unit, it can result in families feeling disconnected and under-supported. And that's because the service unit, again, is the heartbeat of Girl Scouts on a local level. If you find yourself thinking you just don't know what to do or how to do something Girl Scout related, you should be getting in contact with your service unit. Service unit is made up of multiple lead volunteers who specialize in different facets of Girl Scouting and are a place to guide you through the experience. They also create programming for both you and your Juliette to make the year exciting. As a Juliette, you especially want to connect with the service unit events and activities because they create that group space for your Juliette to achieve the leadership experience Girl Scouts is founded on. There's a link to this map in that resource compilation document. You can use that to ascertain your service unit number if you don't know it already, or you can email answers@girlscoutsosw.org for clarification. Before we dig too much deeper, we want to highlight a resource that touches on many of the topics and resources we're going to talk about here, and that's the Juliette Guidebook. The Juliette Guidebook is available in Spanish and English and walks through the overall picture of what being a Girl Scout Juliette is. You can use this to learn more about age level engagement, where to put patches, and so much more. If you've been a Girl Scout for a while, you might notice that really it's just a guidebook to being a Girl Scout, talking about key programs and timelines and the Girl Scout year. A link can be found in that resource compilation or in the forms section of our website. So we mentioned that as an adult, you'll need to help seek out opportunities for your Juliette. One great way to do that is with our monthly virtual volunteer meeting. These meetings are facilitated by staff and are virtual, free, and open to any adult supporting our council. You can register for them right now. These meetings are great because you get up-to-date information directly from staff. There are also recordings available after each meeting if you cannot attend the Wednesday event in person. Another channel that is often underutilized by Juliette families is attending regular meetings hosted by their service unit volunteers. I would say that if you have to pick between these two, the local meetings or the staff-led virtual meetings, choose your local meeting. The local meetings hosted by volunteers are going to share local happenings that are going to most directly impact you and your Girl Scout. From fun events to adult enrichment workshops, these meetings are where the magic happens. And for those of you wishing for a troop, attending these meetings is where you can network and meet other troop leaders and mentors, which can often result in finding a group to welcome you. If your Juliette plans to participate in product programs like cookies, these meetings is also where you find about details and get the required training you need to participate. So you want to be sure you get engaged with them early. Service units should be reaching out to invite you to these meetings along with other local events. They often host communication on different platforms like Facebook or Band or other sites. So you want to be sure you get looped in and don't miss anything. If your Girl Scout has been a Juliette member for over a month and you haven't heard from them, we'll want to help you address that. There could be quite a few reasons why you haven't been getting communication. The first place would be to check and make sure that you are opted into receiving emails. For tips on that, there is a tip sheet for Juliette Mentor Basics linked in the resource compilation document. If you are opted in, of course, check your spam and junk folders. Messages from the service unit often come from an unfamiliar email address. It can include letters like S and U and numbers, and it's a strange combination that you may not be used to seeing. If you still aren't finding anything after all that, please email answers@girlscoutsosw.org and we'll be sure to get you connected. A new live information opportunity is something called the Juliette cohort meeting. So this is a virtual meeting. It's happening once a month at the same time, which is open to all Juliette mentors. Each month, there will be a different deep dive topic that we'll cover from the Juliette perspective. This will be things like participating in cookies, how to travel as a Juliette, building outdoor skills, unique challenges to engaging as individuals. There'll be space to ask questions about those topics, questions about this recording once you're done, as well as just open space for questions. You'll have a chance to meet and connect with other mentors like you, and with any luck, you can make some community and direct connections that can flourish outside of the meeting space. We often hear from Juliette families that they want to connect with others for specific activities, but have trouble identifying individuals that share their interests. We'll be recording the session so you can catch up on what you missed. And there's even going to be a classified section where you can list things or people that you're looking for. You know, maybe your Juliette is working on a badge and needs to find a particular resource or community connection. You'll be able to post that to the group for some crowdsourcing. You do need to register for those in advance to get a meeting link, and you can find registration information in the events section of our website. Now, some resources that come directly to you and don't require any special scheduling includes our monthly newsletter called the Juliette Connect. It's published on the last Saturday of the month and goes directly to your inbox. Again, requires that you be opted into receiving emails, but it's a newsletter that speaks directly to the Juliette experience. While it may share events and information that applies to everyone, it can call out what is special or unique, how you might engage with it, and focuses on activities that are going to benefit Juliettes. Archived issues of that newsletter are stored digitally and accessible to you anytime through a dedicated storage space we have called the Juliette Google Drive. It's a digital resource. Anything that's digital gets stored in there and gets added to throughout the year and accessible to you at any time. A link to that will be available in the resource compilation. We also have a monthly program opportunities email that is for all members, and it goes out to the primary caregivers of a Girl Scout. It highlights upcoming events and activities throughout our council and things that we're excited for in the coming month. If you haven't caught a theme here, one of the primary methods of communication through our organization is email. Again, while your service unit may use a different platform, the main place where staff is going to communicate is through email. So it's really helpful to check out and make sure that you are opted in to receive all that communication. Of course, we're on social media, so we use those to help share information as well. We even have a dedicated Facebook group for Juliette families. It's a great place where we hope to build community and is also a place to find the timely updates. It's open to adult caregivers of Juliettes. It's a private group, so it doesn't always show up in searches, but a link to the group can be found in the resource compilation. When you find us, you'll request to join, and there are some required questions and agreements for joining, so be sure you fill those out. So we've noted that finding group and community opportunities does take committed effort for a Juliette. A great way to find some of these opportunities in addition to or instead of your local service unit offerings is our Girl Scout website. There's an entire section dedicated to events. New offerings are posted each quarter and cover virtual and in-person options all across the council for all age levels and interests. You'll also find listings of adult trainings and workshops, including our Juliette cohort. Something you'll want to get acquainted with is your MyGS account. It can be found through our website as its own tab, and you're going to use it frequently throughout your time with Girl Scouts. You would have had to have created an account in order to register your Girl Scout. Within your MyGS account, you'll do things like keep your address and contact information up to date, renew memberships, and register for events. Having your address up to date is especially important if your Girl Scout will be participating in a product program like the Fall and Cookie program, because the funds they earn during those programs are mailed directly to your home. If you need to renew any memberships for your household or purchase one for yourself, you can do that anytime through your accounts. There's some information in the tip sheet to help you navigate that process. Something that can trip folks up is that our membership year does not match the calendar year. It's actually closer to the school year, going from October 1st to September 30th of the following year. So if you purchased a membership, say in February of this year, you'll need to renew by September 30th of this year to stay active. This can get especially tricky because our product programs, which happen in the fall, sometimes people don't realize that they haven't renewed their membership, and then they miss out on important contact information. So maybe you might find it helpful to set yourself a calendar reminder for early September now, so you can make sure that you're all set with your membership. Now, there are also special incentives for renewing membership between May and July of each year. So if you already had a membership and it's time to renew, if you do that between May and July, not only are there some cool prizes available, but then you'll have it all taken care of by the time that busy time of year comes around in September. So now we move on to the adult task of helping your Juliette plan a girl-led year. Now, Girl Scouts centers on ensuring that youth get to explore the ideas that matter to them. Centering their interests is the ground floor to teaching them to be leaders. That's the Girl Scout Leadership Experience, or GSLE, and it's the core of what youth do with us, helping them gain a strong sense of self, get solid on their own positive set of values, becoming comfortable with and then seeking out challenges, building healthy relationships, and community problem solving. We find that the core places to explore this is in the areas of STEM, outdoors, entrepreneurship, and life skills. The ways that Girl Scouts explore that Girl Scout leadership, those pillars of the STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, the outdoors, entrepreneurship, and life skills, primarily are through things like travel, earning badges and patches, completing journeys, working towards higher awards, participating in programs, and attending day and overnight camps. You can see an overview of pursuing all these ideas in the Juliette Guidebook. Probably one of the most popular venues for exploring the Girl Scout leadership experience is by earning badges, and rightfully so. But it's also something that can confuse or is not well understood is the guiding principle behind them. Girl Scouts builds programming for each grade level on a premise of progression, which is the idea that a Girl Scout learns skills incrementally over time. Most anything offered by Girl Scouts is meant to be delivered in levels based on age-appropriate skills. The intent is that Girl Scouts will be well prepared before taking on the next level challenge as they age up. This is true when it comes to badges, one of the most popular and recognizable facets of Girl Scouts. So badges are offered at every age level, and typically there are corresponding badges across age levels so that girls can continue to build on skills they learned as a daisy in kindergarten, even when they're ambassadors in high school. Badges are shorter explorations of a topic to introduce a youth to a new experience. Then journeys are the next level, which is a more extended exploration that culminates in a take action project. Take action projects aim to make the world a better place and are tailored to provide leadership development. Each journey centers around a predetermined topic to make some of the challenges out of a big concept. The skills that girls gain while working on journeys will help them develop, plan, and implement a bronze, silver, or gold award take action project, which are called our highest awards. A highest award allows a Girl Scout to discover an issue that they're passionate about, connect with experts in their community, and take action to make the world a better place. Now they're ready to select their own themes, design and execute their project, giving them ownership of the process. And that's available once they enter junior grade level and above. Now, this progression framework exists for time-tested success, but following this sequence is not required. A youth can complete a highest award without ever doing a journey or a badge. That being said, you'll want to closely evaluate your Juliette's personal experience before they embark on these projects to maximize their success and feeling of accomplishment. We frequently host highest award workshops to help in the planning stages, and your local service unit will be a great resource on journey and badge exploration opportunities, in addition to council-sponsored activities. There is also an award and badge explorer page online linked in that resource compilation where you can search by grade level and interest to see what's available. There are a ton of ways to pursue the Girl Scout leadership experience, and if this is your first year or two of leading your Girl Scouts adventure, that can get really overwhelming. To make things easier, we have ready to go roadmap for the top things to work on in a year called the Golden Trefoil Program. The Golden Trefoil Program is a collection of quintessential Girl Scout activities, all laid out. You and your Juliet identify your top 6 out of 11 activities, and you're going to work on them over the course of a year. We find that focusing in these areas will lead to a well-rounded and successful Girl Scout year. You can even earn the patch year after year. So the first year you get the center circle, and then the colored bands around the edge for each additional year that it's earned. The resource compilation document will link you to our website, where you can find a downloadable checklist as well as the online submission form. There's a special Juliette version of this program tailored just to those participating individually. So once you have an idea of the foundations of what's available, you'll want to begin having discussions and planning with your Juliette to identify what it is that they care about. It's always easier to keep a youth interested when they, in fact, are interested in what you're doing. So if they don't care about hiking, let's see if there's something else they'd like to do in the outdoors. Or find out what type of things they would like to be doing a year from now. What skills do they wish they had? What about 5 years from now? It might be helpful to have this conversation after attending a couple of service unit events so that they can see other youth of other ages and be inspired by what they're doing and achieving. There are guardrails of progression, helping you identify what they are ready for now and what they need to know before they can build those skills. A first grader isn't going to be ready to take a trip to Ireland right now, right? But if that were a long-term goal, you can be creating opportunities for them to learn the skills they need over the long term, like practicing sleeping away from home without parents, or navigating public transportation, planning meals, trying new foods. If the primary adult support is not the Juliette's parent or caregiver, then you'll need to have some level setting conversations with both the youth and the parents to be sure everyone is on the same page about expectations and goals. That compilation, the resource compilation, has links to a couple of charts for progression, both in travel and outdoors, that help give you an idea of what skills need to be acquired before moving on to the next level. A collection of tools that exist to best help you in the girl-led planning start with that Golden Trefoil. It'll lay out the top activities available. Then there's also that local service unit with those dedicated volunteers and troop leader peers. You're going to gain a ton of inspiration and support, plus what it takes to earn the Golden Trefoil. The Girl Scout handbooks and worksheets that involved with the badges can be obtained through our retail stores, and sometimes even for borrowing from your service unit. Sometimes they have public or sharing libraries, and they're going to lay out the plans for badges and patches. But there's also a digital and free planning resource called the Volunteer Toolkit, or VTK for short. And that's available to the primary caregiver of a Juliette, and it can be really indispensable for planning. So there are year and individual meeting plans centered around different badges. It'll give you scripts, supply lists, even a full schedule on how long a meeting might take to work on the badge. You can get to the volunteer toolkit through your MyGS account. The resource compilation has links to tutorial videos about the site that can help you get better acquainted, and they're specific to the Juliette experience. While the site is centered on the troop experience, the primary content is still applicable to Juliette's. For those of you who are currently adult members, there are even more tutorials through our online training platform, GS Learn. Safety, of course, is always a top priority in Girl Scouts, and to ensure that there are a few foundational resources that exist to get familiar with, which inform how Girl Scouts work. All of these items can be found in the form section of our website at any time, conveniently right in the frequently used shortcuts. We've got volunteer essentials, and this document is the foundations of what we do in Girl Scouts. It's universal across all the United States councils. If you wonder why we do something, it's probably outlined here. We also have volunteer policies and procedures, which are unique and specific to our council. This can include things like which trainings are required to be provide supervision to a child that's not your own, which is called mating ratio. Things like conflict resolution and other things of that nature. Another example of progression is based on one of our key processes, which is learning by doing. Children have different physical abilities and skill sets. Girl Scouting is designed with that in mind and will help you and your girls determine if girls are ready for certain activities and how to prepare. And that's where the safety activity checkpoints come in. If your Juliette plans to do anything outside of the meeting place, which is probably your home, you're going to want to review the safety activity checkpoints in advance. These are guidelines provided for different things like hiking, archery, trampoline parks, most any activity that a Girl Scout might want to engage in. The safety activity checkpoints detail what skills youth and adults must have before embarking on those adventures to protect everyone's safety. For example, if your Juliette wants to explore caves, if you look in the safety activity checkpoints, you'll see right away that spelunking is for juniors and older. So that means daisies and brownies have something to look forward to when they're older. You'll find that very few activities are a no-go, but many do involve progression and the preparation associated with it to make it fun, safe, and satisfying experience for all. As you work to plan activities, remember to let your Juliette participate in the planning every step of the way by providing the examples, opportunities, and support they need to learn and discover. And you have support to help explain to them why we have to work on some skills before we can do that really fun thing they're very excited about. We encourage adult membership for those who support a Juliette to access our online training platform called GS Learn. It's got a ton of supplemental recorded training that could be a benefit for you. If at any time you plan to serve as supervision or meeting ratio at a Girl Scout event where you'll be supervising a child other than your own, membership is going to be required for that, along with a background check. It's also going to be needed if your Girl Scout plans to do outdoor camping activities where you might be staying with them. So if you want to take the plunge now and haven't already, you can certainly make that purchase through your MyGS account now. And if you already have a membership, you might want to check and see if you're due for a renewal. So there are a few topics that we find commonly create confusion or might trip families up while participating as an individual. A common tripping point for Juliette families is just language, the terms you're going to see commonly. You might see that you get promotions or for activities that call out the term troop, quote unquote, or leaders, or even volunteer, and be unsure if they apply to you. We are slowly working towards progress with our members and ourselves to be aware and use more inclusive language because the troop format is the dominant population, so folks tend to use those terms universally, but it's not always as exclusive as the words would indicate. The times where an activity is actually exclusive to the group format is pretty limited. So we recommend whenever possible, just ask clarifying questions to verify if in fact a Juliette can engage with whatever you're seeing or if the same requirements apply to you. Another confused topic is around money handling. So due to our nonprofit charter, there are regulations by the IRS on how money gets used by Girl Scouts. There are also regulations on how funds earned in the name of Girl Scouting can be used. We're required to ensure that funds are used in a programmatic way. In short, programmatic means it's officially a Girl Scout thing where youth are learning foundational Girl Scout skills while using the funds. To meet these regulations, a Juliette's access to money earning activities is specifically through council-sponsored product programs. So that includes the Fall Product Program and the Cookie Product Program. These IRS regulations also limit how individuals can receive funds, specifically that individuals cannot hold a Girl Scout bank account. So that means Juliette's receive funds for product programs and participation on something called a pathway card. It functions similar to a cookie credit if you're familiar with that, but it holds funds and ensures they get the funds can be used in a programmatic way within our council. If your Girl Scout is considering participating in the Fall or Cookie Product Program as a Juliette, be sure that you're registering for a Juliette cohort so you can attend Q&A sessions that will happen during those times of year to learn more about the program. In connection with the money handling topic is how Juliettes travel with Girl Scouts. So for every youth member, no matter how they participate, if they want to use Girl Scout funds, it has to be programmatic. Again, that means essentially in a Girl Scout way, doing Girl Scout things. So when youth want to travel using Girl Scout funds, the travel has to be programmatic. Our definition of ensuring travel is programmatic is that it is girl-led and it's planned with a group. That's how we make sure Girl Scouting is happening. The easiest way to get this experience is with a troop. But there are two additional venues to get that group planning experience, which are perfect for Juliette engagement. So this includes travel patrols and Girl Scout destinations. A patrol is basically a special interest troop. It comes together to plan a specific activity and eventually will end because they complete the goal. Patrols typically are open to members across many lines, different across the council, within a service unit, but it's open to people of a mixed group. There is usually a travel patrol going on at all times that is sponsored by council staff. There are also often service unit sponsored patrols, but a patrol can be created by anyone. The resource compilation has links to an informational video and an FAQ document that shares more about how a patrol or club can come to be. A Girl Scout destination is similar to a patrol, except that they are hosted by councils across the United States. So a specific council will determine a destination and then allow youth from anywhere in the United States to apply to attend. Once accepted, the youth work together to plan that trip and then go on the trip. If your Juliette is interested in traveling, you're going to want to start strategizing early to be sure they're gaining all those progressive skills they need to be ready once the experiences and the time is right. Speaking of that, we're brought back to that idea of progression. If your Girl Scout wants to take a trip to Bali when they're in high school with Girl Scouts, there are a lot they need to practice. You're going to need to help them identify what those goals are and then leverage all the resources around you, both at Girl Scouts and in your private life, to make sure that they gain those skills. Because you don't have a built-in group to pursue these ideas, you'll need to guide them through that. And depending on your Girl Scouts temperament and your dynamic with them, you might also really need to be seeking out safe places for your Juliette to stretch their comfort zone. It can be really challenging to find ways to allow your Juliette to lead and stretch their comfort when it's typically just the two of you. That's by no means impossible, but definitely requires being intentional. And this may be a place for growth in yourself as well. All right, you've made it. You have the foundations of being what a Juliette is about. So what's next? Take some time to review the resources you've gained here. It was a lot of information. You've got a lot of things to check out, but there's no rush. Your first step probably might want to be locating that resource compilation document in this video description or in the comments. From there, you'll have links to all the resources shared in this video. You might want to start with registering for the next Juliette cohort meeting, which will probably help you get your bearings. In the meantime, explore the other resources and use that information to connect and make a plan with your Juliette. Keep an eye out for our monthly newsletters, maybe consider joining our Facebook group if you use that platform, or check out one of the virtual volunteer meetings or your local service unit meetings. As you move into your experience, here are a few key things that are a little bit time sensitive that you might want to be aware of. We have those Juliette cohort meetings. They happen monthly, usually on the first Monday of the month. Sometimes that varies with holidays. But a big one that you'll want to pay attention to, and might be a calendar reminder you might want to set, is there are required trainings for participation in the product programs, and that includes cookie sales. Selling as a Juliette requires that an adult has specific training, which is typically hosted in August for the fall product program and December for our cookie product program. So if by the beginning of those months, you don't already have information from your local service unit on how to obtain the required training, be sure to reach out to us so we can make sure you are getting connected. There are some additional timelines here to consider. We'll let you pause and check those out if you would like. Remember, providing space for youth to grow and develop into amazing adults is a big thing, but there's no rush. There's no one way to do it. Every Girl Scout is different with their own unique desires and interests and perspectives, skill sets, and learning needs. There's no race to the finish line here. One of the great things about Girl Scouts is that there is autonomy and flexibility about where and when and how you achieve goals. So focus on your Juliette and give them the space and time that they need. Keep us updated. If you move in or out of troop membership, be sure to update us. You can make those changes yourself through your MyGS account or reach out to us and we can help you with that. Additionally, be sure that mailing address is always correct, especially if you're participating in the product programs. If you know that the primary support for your Juliet is going to be someone that's not their primary caregiver or parent, let us know so that we can make sure our records are up to date, we have all of our dots connected, and that we're communicating with the right person. If you are not already looped in with your service unit, if you've been a member for more than a month and you haven't heard from them, reach out to us now. If not, maybe set a timer for a month from now. And if you haven't heard from anybody by then, reach out to us then. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about being a Juliet. If you have questions, that is exactly what that Juliet cohort meeting is for. So please register and join us for one of those. Or you can always reach us for all questions at answers@girlscoutsosw.org for help. That's our central customer care address, and your inquiry will be sent to the best staff person suited for the question at hand. That might be the Juliet Mentor Specialist, the staff person's specializing in helping Juliets, but maybe it's somebody different. So before you go, don't forget to pull up that resource compilation document. Again, thank you, and we look forward to more adventures with you and your Girl Scout.